Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We've got a really good interview for you as usual. We've got Josh Jones, quarterback for the Tulsa Oilers in 2026. He was with the Bay Area Panthers in 2025, had a second team all IFL performance that year, and then was a rookie of the year in 2024 on the all rookie team. So very fun player, has been one of the very best in the IFL over the past couple seasons. Had a chance to talk to him about his football journey, both on the field and on the headset. He does a little bit of coaching that we'll dive into, but really fun conversation with him, and excited to see what the picture looks like in Tulsa in 2026. And got a couple news things that we'll dive into as well. But before we dive into any of that, it is time for our social plugs. That's right. Scroll down just a little bit to see the links to all of our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on X/Twitter, we're on TikTok, and up until recently, we weren't on Facebook, but we are now on Facebook. So please make sure you're following us on Facebook if you frequent that. Going to be building out that profile leading into kickoff of the 2026 season. So slowly but surely coming around and building everything up. So make sure you follow us on all of our socials and make sure you interact. That's the thing. I love chopping it up with folks, and sometimes we'll post some controversial memes and opinions, and excited to hear other people's thoughts and opinions as well. And all the hot takes and cold takes and everything in between. We're also on YouTube. So if you're watching, hello, thank you for being here. Hope you like the scenery. Please make sure you are liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment here. So what should our call to action? Our call to action is going to be a prediction on who you think is going to win one of the leagues out there, whether it's the TAL, IFL, AF1, NAL. You pick. It's up to you. Give us your prediction on who you think is going to end up winning those leagues based on what we know so far in the preseason, offseason up until this point. TAL might be a little early. NAL, you could probably make some educated guesses. Some good ones available in the IFL as well. And AF1, you can make a case for a couple different teams. So let me know what you think in the comments. Plead your case, and we'll take a look at those and see what people think. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're liking the episode, sharing it with a friend, and leaving a 5-star review, preferably. But hey, I trust your judgment. You do what you think we deserve here. And off the wall, fb.com, Royal Retros, all that stuff is in the description below. So just scroll down just a little bit. The Royal Retros link, click through that, use code off the wall for 10% off your purchase. And let me know what you end up getting from Royal Retros. Very cool shop that they have on their website, and very cool partnership that we've been able to work out with them. So shout out to Royal Retros. That's all we got for plugs. So let's dive into the interview with Mr. Josh Jones. All right, on the show this week, we have one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in indoor football from the past couple of seasons in the IFL. He earned the Offensive Rookie of the Year award in 2024 with the Northern Arizona Wranglers. He was an all IFL second team quarterback in 2025 with the Bay Area Panthers. His name is Josh Jones. Josh, I appreciate you coming on the show. And how are things in your world? And how's this off season, or do we call it an off season for you? How's that been treating you?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's obviously an honor to be up here, and I've followed you while you've done the whole deal, and so it's pretty cool to be up here now. And yeah, like you said, the off season for me is more football. I'm coaching and all that kind of stuff up here in Durango, and I just got back from visiting families back in North Carolina, so just hopped off of plane last night and excited I could be here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Coach, Durango in Colorado.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm out at Fort Lewis College. I'm the running backs and tight ends coach here. Just finished.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
I just finished up my 3rd year here. So it's fun. It's fun for sure.
Love to hear that. Well, we'll touch on that a little bit later, but first tell us a little bit about your playing football journey that led you to the Indoor Football League and how you kind of got involved with it.
Yeah, so after my college career at UNC Pembroke, I did the whole pro day deal. Did mine at NC State. Worked out for all the 32 NFL teams, and then also some of the Canadian teams. Got invited to a workout with Winnipeg. Ended up doing that, and I actually signed up there for a rookie training camp, and then obviously made it through the real training camp after that. Ended up getting released shortly after, and I came back here to coach. So my offensive coordinator in college, he was he's now the head coach out here. And he's been super supportive of me continuing to play. So once the opportunity kind of came to me about playing in Northern Arizona, I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna jump all over it because obviously, you still want to play and things like that. Um, and I'm able to do both. Thankfully, the head coach here at Fort Lewis is super supportive, like I said. So ended up doing that. Had a great first year, rookie year. Really, really special team. Really good players, and obviously ended up winning offensive rookie of the year, all that kind of stuff. And then came back here to coach again, and then signed in Bay Area last year. So obviously had a really good season in Bay Area, made it to the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. Again, really talented team again.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, really good coaches. Obviously the coaches from Northern Arizona were there with me in Bay Area, and it was a really good mesh again. And then obviously me signing in Tulsa this year is a huge thing I'm excited for.
Yeah, you've had quite the career already, and you kind of splashed onto the scene your rookie year, and then you built on it to the second year. So I'm excited to see what year 3 has in store for you.
Yeah,
But you mentioned going to UNC Pembroke. I don't know much about that school. Tell
yeah.
me about what made you decide to go there and about the experience you had there.
Yeah, I mean it's a Division II school out in North Carolina.
Mhm.
I'm originally from North Carolina, so it's probably about an hour and a half, from where I grew
Yeah,
up and played high school football and all that kind of stuff. Um, I think really the main thing that attracted to me and that was attractive to me about Pembroke was just the coaching staff. They had really good success out there. My offensive coordinator, like I was saying earlier, who I coach for now, he coached in the NFL for a bit. Actually played for the Orlando Predators back in the day. And
oh, okay.
then yeah, he was a receiver. Got to work out with the Green Bay Packers, so he like knows the deal.
Yeah,
Um, and so I played for him. Obviously, I had a really good experience there. My head coach, Shane Richardson, was awesome to me. Was nothing but good to me my whole time there. Really taught me a lot just about how to operate, as a quarterback and your preparation and all that kind of stuff. And then, which really prepared me for like now, playing professionally. There's so much that goes into it that I still look back on my college days and think, wow, thank goodness I went to UNC Pembroke under those coaches,
right.
because it's prepared me, for everything I've been through, as a professional. Obviously, you don't want to be released and things like that, but that's just part of the business.
Yeah,
And you get released from the CFL. And, if you don't have those backbone like principles that were instilled in me, from Coach Richardson and that staff, who knows what I'd be doing. And
right.
so I'm super thankful to them, and they've given me, the strength to keep going and finding different avenues to play and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, the IFL is amazing.
Yeah,
It's a great league to be a part of. And to be honest, I didn't know much about it before I got
yeah,
into it. It's just funny how it works, and it just opens your mind to a whole new like, wow, like this is awesome. This is professional football, really good
yeah,
talent. Um, I mean, you see the venues we play in, right? Like it gets
right.
packed. It's a hectic environment, especially when you go on the road.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
fun, but I'm super thankful. My time back in college at UNC Pembroke, prepared me for what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I mean, while you were there, it seemed like you rewrote the record books a bit
Yeah.
when you're looking at all-time passing yards, touchdowns, attempts, completions. It was like, what was it about the teams that you had there that enabled you guys to be so successful?
I mean, I think obviously it starts with your coaching staff,
Yeah,
and the way they do things and the way they present themselves to you. And it really makes you believe in what they're doing.
yeah,
And then obviously you have a good core group of players um, that were really there for my whole time. My recruiting class or whatever that I came in at, there were a couple of really good players in that class, and they kind of stuck through it. Um, and but by our senior years, we were breaking records and doing all those kinds of things. So
yeah.
um, and it was a great experience, to be able to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned your gig now coaching at Fort Lewis. You said it was running backs and tight ends, right?
Yep, yep.
So, as someone who plays quarterback and has played quarterback all your life, what is it like coaching a position group where you haven't really played it, but you know what they should be doing because like you're you're the guy calling the shots on the field when you're playing. So like, is that a
Right.
challenge to kind of take on those position groups like that?
I mean, not really. I mean, it is a challenge in different ways.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like hard, but it opens your mind up to think like, okay, I played as a quarterback. I am a quarterback. So it really, hey, let me help these guys understand how the quarterback thinks. Like this is where the quarterback expects you to be at. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It is little things like that that have helped me, coaching and obviously to be coaching in my playing off season is unique, right?
Yeah.
Like not a lot of guys get a chance to play coach college football.
Yeah.
And you do that and you're around football 365. It's every day
Right.
of the year and it's awesome for me. And but yeah, I mean, it's for me to be I played in the offense that we coach here.
Oh,
And
perfect.
yeah, so like I know it like the back of my hand. So like
Yeah.
I'm helping, guy freshmen, 18-year-old guys understand protections, that I was calling as a senior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's good for me to have that experience to help them out. But they also open your eyes a little bit too, and you're like, hey, I need to get better at coaching this way. I got to coach it like
Right.
a running back now, not necessarily, me explaining it to a quarterback. But it's been fun for sure.
Do you let it rip in practice sometimes? Show
Oh
show the
yeah,
kids you got
that's
it. Yeah.
that's my time to let those kids know, hey, your
Yeah.
coach is the real deal now. Um, but no, they enjoy it. We have a good time, and like I came back for fall camp, after my season in Bay Area, and it was like the day my highlights came out or whatever, and the
Yeah.
whole team was watching it in the team room. It's just like it's
Let's
just a
go.
fun environment. Like hey, our coach plays pro football.
That's
That's
cool. Yeah.
it's a cool deal for sure.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned not really knowing a ton about the sport of indoor football before you played it. Was the connection to get signed with Northern Arizona, was that your first exposure to it, or did you like know of it but not know quite a lot about it in the past?
Um, No, I mean, it really was my first exposure. I mean, I
Okay.
talked to Coach Moss on the phone. That was my first time, and he kind of gave me a rundown of it, and as best you can over the phone.
Right. Yeah.
And I kind of basically from that point on, I talked to Coach Windsor, the offensive coordinator, and all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
I just fell in love with like the opportunity to play football,
Yeah.
and it was different. They explained that to me, but it took some time to get used to, but. Um, yeah, I mean, it really was my first time being exposed to it, and I was like, I was going to be open minded about to it, and it's obviously worked out pretty good. So
Yeah. Well, there are much worse coaches you could be playing under than Coach Les Moss. Just an
yeah,
absolute legend of the game.
yeah,
You look back on his career. He's forgotten more about arena and indoor football than I think most people ever know in their life. He's just been around the game for so long.
yeah.
What was it like playing with him these past couple of seasons?
It was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like what you said. Like he has so much knowledge. You could just be having a simple conversation with him in the offensive line, and he opens your eyes to something that you
Yeah.
weren't even thinking about, and it's just like, oh wow, that makes a whole lot more sense.
Right.
I mean, like you said, his experience, like game management, like when we had walkthroughs and things like that, he was able to open my eyes, even if he didn't even know he was doing it. Like, hey, he's
Yeah.
talking to the offensive line about something now as a quarterback. I hear that. It just helps you out. And
Yeah.
to have a coach like him, that obviously was my first year, and then able to work with him in Bay Area again, was a great experience.
Yeah, and with you being a coach at the same time, I'm sure you learned some of those coaching principles, and I'm sure you
Oh,
apply
for
it
sure.
to your guys too.
No, for sure. And I joke with my teammates a lot, that I played with in indoor football, like, hey, like I'm gonna act like this coach when I get back. But
Yep.
it's just what it is. But no,
Yeah.
you learn a lot from the coaches you're around. And obviously I've been around a lot of good coaches in the IFL, obviously, with both
Yeah.
teams. And to be able to implement something from all of those guys is something I don't take lightly at all.
Yeah, you've been around some great indoor football minds, and 2026 is going to be no exception to that either.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you. I remember watching that opening game of the 2024 season. I think it was Wranglers Rattlers, and I remember thinking, oh, what is going on in Northern Arizona?
Yeah.
But you guys were able to quickly turn it around and get things going on for that offense. What was the biggest growing pain that you personally had to go through adjusting to the indoor style of play?
I mean, I think obviously it's a whole new game, right?
Yeah.
Like Yeah, like for me, like I went, playing my whole life, normal football,
Right.
100-yard field. Then you go to Canada and the field is bigger, right? And you're like, holy crap, it feels huge out here. And
Yeah.
then you go to the indoor league where the field's smaller now. I think that was the biggest deal where it's like, hey, you don't have a lot of the windows are so tight, right?
Yeah.
Like they're so tight. And you got it's such a timing game with your receivers. Like the ball's got to
Right.
come out quick. You got to trust that your receivers are going to be where they said they're going to be, all
Mhm.
week. And I think that was the biggest adjustment. It's a small field, and also there's nowhere to go. Like as a quarterback, you try and not take as many hits, and you're used to running out of bounds, and
Yeah.
you get to the IFL, you're like, there's no out of bounds.
Nope.
No, so those walls are undefeated. But
Yeah.
it's that was probably the biggest deal, and I think back in that
Right.
Northern Arizona year, it was just all 11 or all 8 of us were,
Yeah.
new. We were all rookies or
Right.
whatever it
Yeah.
was. And it's like our first game versus a really good storied franchise with guys that have been playing,
Yeah.
indoor football for a long time and with against a really good head coach over there,
Right. Right.
obviously. And it was just a tough matchup, to be honest. And then obviously, like you said, we eventually got it rolling and turned into a really high powered team. But
Yeah.
it was the first, first game in the IFL versus the Arizona Rattlers at home is always fun.
That's a tough draw. That's a
Yeah.
tough draw for anybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, you made the most of it, and you found what worked and built on it, and just had a tremendous 2024 year. And I think one of the things, one of my biggest takeaways from that season for the Wranglers in particular is how often you ran the ball out of the
Yeah.
quarterback spot. And I was doing the math here. I think you had more rushing yards that one season than you did your entire college career. Like I think the numbers worked out that way. Is
Yeah.
that something you've always had in your bag, or did you have to polish that while learning the indoor style?
I mean, not really. I've always had it in my bag. I think,
Yeah.
just with the system that I played with in college, there was really no quarterback run.
Right.
Um, and we were just trying to do different things through the air, in college, and we were throwing it around a bunch. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my rushing yards in college came from me like just scrambling and making a play.
Right.
But then you get to the IFL and like your quarterback's got to be able to run the football.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a problem at all, obviously. I had a really good year, and then obviously again in Bay Area rushing the ball. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just something I've always done, and it works out really good in the IFL. So,
Yeah. It's very, very necessary.
yeah,
That there's only a couple exceptions to that rule. But
yeah,
yeah, for the most part, you got to have a mobile quarterback to be successful in this league. But one more thing from 2024 before we move on here. the You can make the case the game of the decade for sure, game of the year, that Wranglers Bay Area game where you guys stormed back from a 25-point deficit in the second half to come back and win. Just one of the wildest games I've ever seen. I remember
yeah.
watching it live and just being like, I can't believe what I just witnessed. Like the way it all went down, the way it all came together. What do you remember about that game, and what was it like being a part of that?
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I think what I remember is, you know, those I don't even remember how many drives or what we had at the end of the game,
Yeah,
and it was a situation where like we just got to go score, and we were able, for some reason we struggled, in the first half, and then that second
yeah,
half we kicked it into gear, and we were really doing what we wanted to on offense. Um, Obviously, the kicking game came up big that game with Axel,
yeah,
but so obviously he did a phenomenal job. But yeah, I just remember offense really just rolling down the field versus that defense, and really we felt unstoppable in that time. And um, that was probably the largest comeback I've ever had. So um,
yeah.
yeah, it was a fun game for sure. That locker room after that game was fun to be in.
Oh, I bet. And it was one of those things where Axel lined up for the deuce right at
Yeah,
the end of the game. And as he was lining it up, I'm like, there's no chance he misses this.
yeah,
I was like, there's absolutely zero chance. Like, just the way
right.
everything was playing out, I'm like, this is going through and this is going to be crazy.
Right. No, he is really good at the drop kick. I mean, like we
Yeah.
relied on that in both years. That I was his holder obviously for both years, and he's a very talented kicker. And I just remember thinking like I had no doubt, in both
Yeah.
years that I played with him. I mean, he whenever we needed it, he was going to put it through the uprights. So yeah, he's a great
Yeah.
he's a great kicker.
Yeah, and he played with you in Bay Area too, which is where you went in 2025, and it seemed like half the city of Prescott went with you to Bay Area and
Yeah.
joining coaches Les Moss and Rod Windsor. Was it as simple as Coach Moss and Coach Windsor are here, therefore I want to be here, or was there a little bit more to it than that?
I mean, when you put it like that, that's how simple it was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like they were going, those are two really good coaches.
Yeah.
And you know, when I found out they were going to Bay Area and they, you know, reached out to me and things like that, um, it was a very quick decision, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were joining up with Coach Keefe, you know, and he's a very, you know, really good coach for defense, and it felt like a really good situation. And obviously, we had a really good year. But yeah, as soon as I found out they were going to Bay Area, I was like, let's go. You know, like
Yeah.
there's no there's no thinking involved.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to overthink it. Be like, all right, that's where they are. That's where I am. Let's do
For
it.
sure.
Well, you mentioned Coach Keith. He's just an unbelievable coach as well. And what's a pregame pump up speech from Coach Keith like? I've seen some clips from a few over the years, and they seem like they're awesome.
Yeah, there he's a very energetic coach.
Yeah.
He was awesome, you know. His pregame speeches got us going every game.
Yeah.
And he was like that every day, you know. And I give credit to him, like he showed up every day like that. And
Yeah.
I think so when he gave us those pregame speeches, it wasn't fake, you know, like that was him being
Right.
him. And you know, we all rallied behind it. So, but yeah, those pregame speeches were awesome, banging on the table, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. So, he got us ready to go for sure.
And I've seen some videos from when I think he was a coach in Spokane in like the early 2010s or something.
Yeah,
And the energy was still there too. Like you still see some of that fire. I'm like, dude, 15 years later, he's still bringing it. Like
no,
he's
for
just
sure.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in 2025, great season individually as a team, 13-3 record with an offense that just hurt teams in so many ways. What was the biggest thing for you that helped you grow from that year one experience to year two to take that next step?
I think you know, just being in the same playbook, you know,
Yeah.
offensively. Like we didn't change much. We added a few things there in Bay Area towards the end of the year, but like it was still the same thing. And I think being able to be in that offense, you know, helped me be more comfortable.
Right.
And you know, to be more aggressive. You know, you're learning things for the first time that first year, and you're trying to figure out everything. And then you get to your second year in the same playbook. You're saying the same play calls in the huddle.
Mhm.
Um, it was very a really good situation for me, you know, to be there. And obviously, you have that first year under your belt, so now you're not as worried about timing and things like that. You know, it's already instilled in you. You've drilled that in the off season,
Right.
that type of deal. I think it was kind of the same deal in Bay Area, other than me. Really, I think a lot of our other guys were rookies. You know, obviously
Yeah.
JT wasn't, but um, everybody else was rookies on offense for the most part. And you know, to get them going in the right direction. Obviously, we struggled that first game versus San Antonio, but we ended up getting them back later in the year when we were hitting our
Mhm.
full stride. So it was great, you know, to be kind of a guy that had already played in the playbook, and now I'm trying to bring other guys along, you know, help
Right.
them get up to speed with the indoor game.
Yeah, and some of that coaching experience
Yeah,
came into play for
for
the on the
sure,
field stuff too. So
for
it's
sure.
you become a better player because you're a coach. You become a better coach because you're a player. It's just
It
a
all works
never-ending
together.
cycle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you mentioned JT, Josh Thomas. You
yeah,
guys were just a nightmare combo in the backfield, and I think you had over 1,300 rushing yards combined last year, which is again 50-yard field.
yeah.
Insane to think about.
Right.
How did it feel going from a rookie season where you were basically the main guy running the ball to suddenly teams have to account for a two-headed monster in that back?
No, for sure. He's a great player, and we did a bunch of things with him last year, and he helped us out so much, you know, offensively.
Yeah.
We relied more on our running game that we in Bay Area than we did in Northern Arizona, obviously. And to have a player like him carrying the ball was awesome. And obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a receiver, you know, so that's his background. And you know, for him to step in and play running back for us was huge on his part. And then obviously to be able to check it down to him or have him out in the pass game concept, that type of deal was
Right.
huge. He made some big time plays for us in the air too. So
Yeah.
he was just a great player overall, and we were lucky to have him for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool to see the evolution of that offense. And you mentioned Coach Windsor, one of the best play callers in the indoor game. Let's just call it how it is. And
Yep.
what was one of the biggest takeaways you had as a coach learning from Coach Windsor and how he approached play calling, how he approached the offensive team?
I think, the main deal is like trust your players, like he
Right.
did a really good job of that. Like we're gonna be clean with what we do offensively. It's
Hmm.
not gonna change a whole lot week to week. Obviously, there's game plan wrinkles and things like that. But just rely on your players. They're gonna go out and make plays. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Like the players wouldn't be here if they weren't good enough to be here. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I take into coaching. Like, hey, you don't got to overcoach things all the time. Like, let them kind of just naturally take it over. Send them in the right direction, right? And
Yeah.
then let them when the ball gets in their hands, let them take over.
Yeah, and it's especially with that Bay Area team in Northern Arizona from a couple years ago. It's just very talented rosters when you look at it up and down. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's like just let the players make plays.
for sure, definitely.
That's what it comes down to.
It
Um,
sounds simple, doesn't it?
it sounds simple, but yeah, it can be hard to let
Yeah,
go of some of that control and be like, hey, just
no,
let
for
them do
sure.
their thing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What was the Bay Area like off the field? It seems like that region of the country is both underrated and overrated at times. Like,
Yeah,
how is it living there?
it was awesome. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like I said, I'm from North Carolina, and basically from the beach, right, in North Carolina,
Yeah.
and then you move out here to Colorado, and you're in the Rocky Mountains. It's
Uh huh.
snowing, right? It's like completely different than what you're ever used to.
Yeah.
So it was like, and then I went to Prescott and all that, and that's kind of in the mountains of Arizona, so it's very similar
Right.
to where I'm at right now in Colorado. But then you go out to Bay Area, and San Jose and that whole deal. You're close to the beach again. It's warm
Yeah.
weather. Like it was a great time. Obviously, they have a really good fan base. They're really supportive. They were big. The Bay Area was big in the community out there.
Yeah.
Um, they were really supportive. It was a great place to be. The area that we were in San Jose around that area was awesome. I mean, it's like it's a big city, and
Yeah. Yeah.
to live and play football in a big city was awesome. There were so many people out there that cared about Bay Area football and Bay Area sports.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
we had, it was just a good situation to be in, and obviously being close back home to the beach was awesome for me.
Yeah, and the Bay Area, San Jose has such a rich history with the sport of indoor and arena football. So to
Yeah,
see them go into dormancy after this past season, I was like, dang it! Like, come on, we need the Bay Area.
yeah.
What was the plan to come back to Bay Area if that hadn't happened, or did you have your eyes kind of set on making a move before then, even if Bay Area was around still?
I mean, yeah, it was the same situation kind of going into going from Northern Arizona after that year. I was kind of just waiting to see what was going to happen.
Right.
And really before those talks, ever happen again, that they came out with the decision to not return or whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Obviously to play for those coaches again would have been awesome. Those guys are really good coaches, but obviously, I landed in another really good spot with
Yeah.
Tulsa. But yeah, it was just a situation where I was going to see what happens with the free agency stuff, and everything fell into place really good.
Yeah, and you mentioned it signed with Tulsa for 2026. It's a lot closer to home in
Yeah,
Colorado for you.
yeah,
Walk me through free agency and how you ended up deciding to sign with the Oilers.
yeah. I mean, I think it was really different kind of, in terms of the free agent that I've been in the past, just
Yeah,
because when 2 years ago or whatever, it was boom, I'm going to Bay Area, right? Like it was
yeah,
like that. Now this year, I really got to hear a lot of teams out, and actually go through
yeah,
the free agency process. But really, from the time Coach Batt called me, and the time that I talked to Coach Jones over there, it was
yeah,
really they were my top, team the whole time. We stayed in touch that whole deal. It was really good to talk, football with them and really what they got going on over there. So I'm really excited, to have gone through the whole process this year, heard all the teams out, that were wanting to recruit me,
yeah.
and then ended up in the best spot for me. So with two really good coaches, obviously they're both super successful in the world of football, and
Oh yeah,
um, so it'll be a great time. I'm excited to get over there and get to work.
yeah. You go from one stacked coaching staff to arguably another great stacked coaching staff with Marvin Jones and his history in the NFL, playing
Yeah.
for over a decade, and you mentioned Coach Back, the offensive prowess that he's been able to bring to the indoor game over the past decade and a half. So it's just
Yeah.
a ton of experience there.
No, for sure. I've always been, we played against Tulsa this past year in Bay Area, and
Yeah.
so I went against that Coach Jones's defense. Um, Really good defense, really good players.
Yeah.
They were really disciplined, so I'm sure, that's how the whole team is going to be. And
Yeah.
obviously we played in the West, so playing Tucson, twice a year, whatever it was, my last 2 years. You watch Coach Back on film, and you play against him, and I was really just admiring, what he has as an offense, just from afar. And so when the opportunity, came to be a part of it, I was ready to jump all over it.
Yeah, and it's an exciting time in 2026, and this might be one of the best quarterback rooms in recent memory in indoor football with you and TJ in there, and it's just an exciting time to be in the IFL in general with the streaming deals and everything. What
Right.
excites you the most about what lies ahead in Tulsa?
I mean, really everything. I think it's a place with really good competition. Like the team and the roster they've put together, just for me looking at it from afar now, has been
Yeah.
awesome and impressive. I think they won Franchise of the Year last year or something
Right.
like that, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. So you're going into a place where they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm ready just to come in there and just be the best version of Josh Jones for them that I can be,
Right.
and go win a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. That Tulsa fan base. You want to talk about good fan bases, man? They
Oh
pack
yeah.
out that BOK Center, and it is quite the scene in Tulsa. So it's you bring some of that juice from last year, and it's going to be good times in
No,
Tulsa,
for sure.
Oklahoma.
No, for
Yeah,
sure. I saw, I mean, you watch them on film, you watch all these teams on film, and
yeah,
you see that venue, and like, I mean, you're like, that's the real deal.
yeah. Oh yeah,
There's 17,000 people in there, whatever it is, and I'm sure it gets rocking and it gets loud. So I'm
yeah.
glad that it'll be my home team. And I don't have to go on the road there, but I'm excited for it. It seems really good.
Yeah, that black turf with the all black unis too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like, all right, let's go.
yeah,
It's gonna be a good time there.
for sure.
Well, like I mentioned, a massive 2026 ahead, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you grow in year three. One last question before we get you out of here. What
Yeah,
piece of advice would you give rookie Josh Jones before the 2024 season, knowing what you know now about the indoor game?
yeah. I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, there's so much I've learned since then. I would just say, be open minded about everything, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're coming into a new league and with new rules, all this kind of stuff, and
right.
it's gonna be awesome. Like have fun, enjoy it, go score a bunch of touchdowns, and when you do, celebrate. So
Yeah,
I plan. Obviously, that ended up happening, the last 2 years, and I'm excited to keep it going in Tulsa.
for sure. Well, any parting words for IFL fans or Tulsa Oiler fans before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It seems like everything's going in the right direction with our team so far, and free agency in the off season. And there's a lot of energy, from what I've heard, just talking with
Yeah,
other players on the team that have played there before. So keep that energy going and get ready to go win a championship.
let's go. Love to see it. Well, best of luck in 2026, and we'll keep in contact moving forward. All right.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Big thanks again to Mr. Josh Jones for joining the show and talking about his football journey on the field, off the field, and on the headset. Really cool to see how football is his life 24/7, 365 when he's playing in the IFL. When he's not playing in the IFL, he's coaching up a college team in Colorado. And as soon as that season ends, it's time to start ramping up for his playing season. So excited to see what that looks like in Tulsa in 2026. He's had a really, really great career so far in the IFL in 2024 with Northern Arizona, 2025 with Bay Area, and this Tulsa situation is going to be very interesting to see how it unfolds. But yeah, Josh Jones being in the picture for Tulsa, they're definitely going to be a contender in that very very competitive Eastern Conference. So go give Josh a follow on socials. Let him know you heard him on Off the Wall. Got a couple different key things to dive into in a couple different leagues. So we'll start with the IFL. I think one of the biggest things that has come out of the IFL over the past week or so is Rod Miller was named defensive coordinator for the Vegas Nighthawks. And this is a pretty big get for the Nighthawks. He was with San Antonio this offseason after a pretty successful campaign with the San Diego Strike Force in 2025. San Antonio decided to go a different direction. What that means, who knows? It could mean a million different things. It could be a butting heads. It could be a, hey, this ain't what we thought. We're both mutually parting. We don't know. Speculation can run wild, but he's no longer there, and he is with Vegas in 2026. Rod Miller, he's one of the best defensive coaches in the entire indoor and arena football landscape. He was with Massachusetts in 2024, and that defense was very, very good and very opportunistic. And that's something that all these Rod Miller defenses have. The Massachusetts 2024 team got all the way to that championship game because that defense went on a tear down the stretch. San Diego, they were what, 1-2 plays away from making it to the IFL National Championship last year. And Rod Miller, this isn't going to be his first time in Vegas. He was with the Vegas Nighthawks in 2023, where they had the #1 pass defense in all of the IFL. So he's coming into some familiar territory with Coach Mike Davis in that system that they run in Vegas. And this is just a massive, massive get for the Vegas Nighthawks. And to me, it puts them firmly at the top of the league coming off of their championship run. Not only are they the reigning champs, but they're returning a lot of key pieces on both sides of the ball. And it's not often you see as much continuity as you're going to see with the Vegas Nighthawks going from that 2025 season where they won the championship to this 2026 season where they're getting their quarterback back. They're getting their top wide receiver back. They're getting a lot of defensive production back. They're getting a lot of their O-line back. The defensive line is looking like one of the best in all of indoor football. So this team's going to be nasty, and this team's going to be very, very good. And then you mix in Rod Miller, a defensive coordinator. It's a good time to be a Vegas Nighthawk fan. That's what I'll say. So yeah, Rod Miller in Vegas, very, very good signing for the Nighthawks, and it's a good spot for Coach Miller as well. And one other notable thing that happened I wanted to highlight was Ron Brown Jr. re-signing with the Arizona Rattlers. At least it was announced this past week. Ron Brown Jr. was very, very talented last year. He was a 2025 Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's back, and this Rattlers offense is just going to be very impactful on the ground. Like they were already impactful on the ground last year with Ron Brown Jr. at running back and Dalton Sneed at quarterback. Sneed was one of the absolute best over the past 3 or 4 years, being a dual threat mobile quarterback. Now you bring in the reigning MVP of the IFL and Max Myler at quarterback. You bring in Kimo Clark at running back to pair with Ron Brown Jr. And suddenly you have a three-headed rushing attack of Max Myler, Kimo Clark, and Ron Brown Jr. This Rattlers offense is going to be very, very good at running the ball. And that was something that they excelled at last year and something these Rattlers teams typically excel at. And they've got the pieces in place to really continue to excel at it and arguably be the #1 rushing offense in the league just based on talent alone. Obviously, execution, offensive line play, all that comes into effect. But yeah, this Rattlers offense is looking really, really good. And this Western Conference in the IFL is looking like it's going to be an absolute gauntlet at the top of the conference. At the top of the conference, you're looking at Vegas, San Diego, and Arizona. It seems like the top 3 is going to be a combination of those 3 teams all throughout the year. Things and stuff happen. There's going to be some skids. There's going to be some leeway with it, but it feels like when it's all said and done, those 3 teams are probably going to be taking up 3 of the 4 playoff spots in the Western Conference. So it really comes down to who's going to be the 4th team at this point, and that's where you can make a case for a couple different teams. And as we inch closer to the beginning of the season, we'll dive into an IFL preview. Got some partnership opportunities lined up with some other content creators, where we'll give a more in-depth and more fun, I guess. I don't know, more fun IFL preview like we've done in the past. So, but all that to say, Ron Brown Jr., very, very good re-signing for the Arizona Rattlers, and the rich get richer with this Rattlers running. We're going to hop over to the NAL now, where we got one major thing that I wanted to touch on the show this week, and that's Lorenzo Brown Jr. at quarterback signing with the Sioux City Bandits. So if you remember a few years back, Lorenzo Brown Jr. was quarterback for the Sioux Falls Storm, had a really, really great run with the Storm, retired after the 2023 season. He was like, you know what, we're good. Won a couple ships, made it to the final championship season. Coach Riggs was on his way out. He's like, you know what, let me dip out as well. Well, that retirement didn't last long. He quickly came out of retirement, signed with the Arizona Rattlers for a little bit after they had some injury problems at the beginning of the 2024 season. Eventually got released there, then eventually came back to the Sioux Falls Storm. Storm had a really, really rough 2024 season, as we all know. Then it looked like, you know what, maybe Lorenzo Brown Jr., he's actually done after the 2024 season. That didn't really go well. Well, jump ahead to the 2025 season. He plays with the Omaha Beef of the NAL, and he lands in Sioux City for the 2026 season. So much for retirement after that 2023 season. 2 years later, he's still back at it. He's still going. So he is on the older side. I think he's 38 heading into this upcoming season. So he's been around for a very, very long time. And suddenly this Bandits quarterback room gets really, really crowded really, really quickly. Before they had Ed Crouch, who played with Washington last year, has bounced around a couple different leagues, played in the FCF a few years back. We've got Verlin Reed, who has been with Sioux City for a number of years now and has played quarterback for them over the past couple of seasons. And now you're introducing Lorenzo Brown Jr., who is one of the most accomplished indoor football quarterbacks in the entire sport over the past decade. Typically, you don't see folks putting 3 quarterbacks on an indoor team just because roster sizes are so limited. Sometimes you only see them roll with 1. It seems like the magic number here is going to be 2. So what 2 do you go with? You just signed Lorenzo Brown Jr., so it seems like he's in. Do you roll with Lorenzo Brown Jr. and Ed Crouch? Because that leaves Verlin Reed, the guy who's been there for a long time, on the outside looking in. Or do you roll with Lorenzo Brown and Verlin Reed, but then Ed Crouch is on the outside looking in, who has a ton of upside, but just needs some consistency to be able to fulfill that upside? Or is Lorenzo Brown just a camp body? And are you rolling with Ed Crouch and Verlin Reed? There's a lot of different ways this can go. And it seems like no matter who is the odd man out and who is on the outside looking in, I don't think they'll have a problem finding a new home in the 2026 season, whether that's in the NAL, whether that's in the IFL. It seems like somebody's going to need a quarterback at some point, and I would not be surprised to see one of these 3 on another roster at some point, maybe even before the NAL season officially starts, based on how training camp may go. But I thought that was a very interesting signing to kind of break down and walk through what the potential domino effect of this signing could mean, not just for Lorenzo Brown Jr., not just for the Sioux City Bandits, but for the rest of the NAL and for the rest of the indoor football world. So Lorenzo Brown Jr. coming back for yet another season with the Sioux City Bandits. What do you think happens? Let me know in the comments. Last thing we're going to touch on this week is the Arena League, TAL. Right after we released last week's episodes, they released the branding for the Grand Island team, and they are going to be known as the Nebraska Siege. So we'll put some of the logos and branding on the sides here. Let me center myself to make sure we have space on each side of me. I think it's a unique name with some local ties to the Sandhill Cranes of the region. It's an interesting approach to it, kind of military-esque, but also tip of the cap again to the Sandhill Cranes. I think it's slick branding from the Foozer Sports Design group, who handles all of the Arena League logos and branding. I like that they're doing that because it keeps the logos and branding consistent throughout the league. You look at some other leagues, namely, I'll just say the NAL. You look at the logo for the Beef. You look at the logo for the Punishers. You look at the logo for the Storm. They all kind of have their own unique style, and there's not a whole lot of uniformity as a league. But the fact that TAL is using the same branding and the same logo from the same source, I think that's really, really cool. And it gives the league a league-wide identity and gives them something where as soon as you see it, you go, huh, that's the Arena League right there. You can just tell by how the branding and how the logos are made. So I think it's a really cool design. I think it's a really cool name. Nice little double entendre. I think the Siege is the name of the group of cranes. So it's kind of like double entendre with the name itself. So I think it's really cool. I saw some folks were like, "Ooh, I was expecting a little bit more." What more were you expecting? Like what were you thinking? The danger probably weren't coming back. We should have known that going in. You could be optimistic, you could be hopeful for it, but it probably wasn't going to happen. But I think that the Siege is a really cool name. And the next drop, it's looking like it's coming on January 16th. So the day after this episode drops. So this drops on the 15th, Thursday, scheduled to be released on Friday the 16th. So it should be the Memphis team that's getting announced. There's a couple different directions they could take with Memphis, but we'll see what they end up announcing on Friday. And then the Monroe team name and logo should be coming on January 30th. Tim Brown, commissioner of the Arena League, is scheduled to be in Monroe, Louisiana to help with the unveiling and be a part of that, local community, media, all that stuff. So again, this week on the 16th, should be getting Memphis. On the 30th, we'll be getting Monroe, and then we'll have all 8 teams lined up, and they will be ready to go. So exciting time for the Arena League. They had some not unideal offseason with the team leaving, with the reigning champ 2 times over leaving, but the fact that they were able to still continue to grow and add some teams to it to make it a round 8 number of teams, it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to see what the logo and branding looks like for Memphis soon, and then Monroe later on at the end of the month. And that's the show. Thank you so much again to Mr. Josh Jones for joining the show and talking about his football journey and talking about all the intricate parts of his football focused life. And it's really cool to see what he's doing coaching in his off season, which is the normal football season, and then playing in the indoor football season is really cool to see. So big shout out to Josh, and hopefully we'll see a very successful 2026 season like we've seen over the past couple of years as well. Socials, please make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB. We're on X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then we're on Facebook as well. So make sure you're following us on Facebook. Brand new Facebook page. Let's see how we can ramp up the followers there. YouTube, if you're watching, please make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and then leaving a comment. I think the call to action from earlier was drop a prediction for who you think is going to win one of the leagues. I'll leave the league up to you. Let me know your thoughts on who's going to win it and why. Interested to see what people think so far in this off season. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please be sure you're liking the show, sharing it with a friend, rating the show 5 stars, preferably. Offthewallfb.com, Royal Retros, all that stuff is in the description below. So go check that stuff out there and let me know what you think about all of that. Please engage on the socials. Let me know what you think. If you want to shoot me a DM, that's cool. We can chat. If you want to just throw a like or throw a reply on something, that's cool too. I love the engagement. I love chopping it up with folks and being a part of the indoor and arena football community, because I think that's so important. I think a lot of content creators out there, they push their own stuff, but they never really engage. They're never really involved with the community, and I try to be as involved as possible. So join the conversation. Would love to have you be a part of it. There's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 50 minutes of your day watching this show, watching Off the Wall, listening to Off the Wall, wherever you're consuming it, it means a lot. So thank you so much for taking the time again. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.